Morning at NTV. If you've just joined us, welcome aboard. The hashtag is Morning at NTV. Across all social media platforms, you can tag Uncle D256, Malaki Verodera, and Rita Kanya. That is on Twitter and Facebook. Time for us to get into a quick traffic update. Check on the line. Stephen Bide is out on the streets to update us on how it is. Stephen, good morning.
Yes, Uncle D.
Good morning. How are you, sir? Stephen?
Yes, Uncle D.
Good morning. Please give us a quick update on where you are and how the traffic is.
Good morning to you. I'm coming to you from this other side of Naminembe Road and Wangatu Road at the junction leading you towards Lubaga Road. If you know this western side of the city center, just know that if you're coming from Mango Hill Road, joining the Naminembe Road, as you drive towards the Bakuri traffic lights between Mango Trading Center and the traffic lights of Bakuri, don't be losing there close to 15 minutes, between 10 and 15 or 20 minutes at the maximum, because there, as I was coming from that side, traffic jam was immense driving towards the traffic lights. The same applies to you coming from Rubaga Road, the areas of Kabaka and Jakara side, joining Naminembe Road here at the junction next to the former Fight Theatre. Just know that it's a snake-like traffic jam driving you from that direction. But if you're coming from Naminembe Road, joining Rubaga Road, it's clear flow of traffic, no worry for you side. The same applies to you coming from the Mwanga Road, areas of the Ring Road next to Kabaka's Palace. If you're connecting to the Kampala, make sure that you use Mwanga Road because this side is so smooth for you, as opposed to you trying to use that side of Rubaga Road. But if you know you're connecting towards Makere University or Wandegear and you're coming from this direction of Rubaga Road, then also just know that using Old Kampala Road, the one that will connect you towards the Old Kampala police station next to Gaddafi Road, will be the better road for you, because here I can see to and from this other side of Rubaga Road and Naminembe Road joining Old Kampala Road is so clear for now, as well as joining the side of Gaddafi Road. For you coming from the city center using Naminembe Road around Blue Room and the heart of the city next to the former Machibo Stadium, joining the Mengo and the Rubaga Road, you will be losing more time here because the traffic officers at this point are stopping you for more time than those shopping towards the city. And for you shopping towards the city coming from this side of the junction, just know that you'll be losing 3 to 5 minutes as you connect towards the city center. But before I wind up this, I remind you that Naminembe Road, coming from the place of Bakuri, usually by 8 a.m., they have already sealed up this road for the construction of the non-motorized transport system. But for now, I think they were delayed for some minutes. I can see that the constructors of starting companies are just getting their machines and their trucks on road. So just know that if you are, like for example, in Nankurabe, you better use Odi Kampala. You'll not be able to use, you'll be delayed because of the diversion that is always at the public supplies and this point of the Rubaga Road. That's what I can update you for now from this other side of the city, but remember to plan your travel in time to avoid overspeeding and rushing, which can lead you to some accident. Bye-bye. Talk to you, Uncle D, on the morning at NTV.
Thank you very much, Stephen Bide. That is a quick look at the Kampala streets, the traffic on the road, and hopefully that will help you get in or out of Kampala swiftly. And please don't forget, for all the drivers out there, please make sure that you keep a quick look or a keen eye on pedestrians. And for my Boda friends, this year we decided that no helmet, no ride. So make sure you have 2 helmets, one for you and one for your passenger. And for the passengers, please make sure you have that helmet on. And I keep telling people, don't allow your boda guy to run at red light. I fell victim of that, almost fell victim of that a few weeks back. So make sure you don't allow that boda guy to run a red light. That's a quick look at what's happening on the roads in our traffic update. We'll update you again this time tomorrow. Right about now, Morning at NTV continues. Let's get into a business update. You're
watching Morning at NTV. Coming soon on NTV.
NTV presents another exciting must-watch drama series. In the beautiful capital of Uganda, a hotel chain has been running for decades.
If you don't show composure and stability, the business will not survive. You understand that?
It's time for the man himself to hand over.
This company belongs to Bate.
Life is so good after retirement.
Tell that to Barbara.
Did you do what I asked you to do?
Who will he choose?
That will be my son.
Are you kidding me? He's a boy.
Who will carry on the legacy?
Junior is old enough to take over the business.
This is ridiculous.
But the contenders are even more.
You think to become CEO?
Confusion of love. Family conflict.
Madam Barbara tuyisa bubi wano naye ngenda kweddiza omusajja wa kitegeere.
I sleep in the guest room.
Mr. Bate has left his bedroom.
Relationships.
I know that Chief Bastard is right here. Where is he?
When a guy cheats on you after 4 years of putting up with him, honey, you need to celebrate.
Come together in the power of legacy.
Doctor, don't you want my number?
Heartbreak.
You promised that we were going to get married.
Well, I don't want that with you anymore.
Threats.
If you mess with Rachel, you will have to deal with me.
Revenge.
But now I have you where I want you.
Who will put on the nasty fight in the quest for legacy?
I do not have to explain myself to you.
Power of Legacy, coming soon on NTV. NTV presents another exciting must-watch drama series.
Where is my husband?
Politics bamujje mu security eggwanga lyaffe ligenda kukola ki kufuna obuzibu nze omuntu wa wansi atuula wansi ku ttaka ssebo nze ŋŋenda okuweerera omwana oyo ng'onzimbidde essomero lya kalina
naye ne gavumenti oba eri munkwe etubuzaabuza tekutula eri awo tulaga eno tulaga eno esayidi katale akati abantu ate koona abantu basale nga badde eno nga badde eno emotoka zibakoone awantu atwagala gavumenti etekawo sente wetulaba ambulensi zetuzibira omuntu n'awulira akagombe ka ambulensi ng'ereeta mulwadde n'alemera mu kkubo.
We have watched this show begin. We have traveled the entire country in search for commercial farmers.
Cassava is now a cash crop in Teso.
Farmers from across Uganda have benefited from agriculture.
Somebody who is doing fish farming, this is an opportunity, a huge opportunity, in that the market and the demand is already available.
I realized there was potential in goat farming. I started with around 30 goats.
You don't need a lot of money to start, but rather the heart and determination.
Intending farmers is to have a positive attitude and start. It doesn't need the person to have gone to school or to have not gone to school. Possibly keeping is one of the projects that have money. You go home, you come back to harvest the honey.
And who said there is no market?
Like that fish pond, where it is, I've stocked now 700 fish.
What I've seen in agriculture is that the market for produce is there.
It's fun. Join us on this program and let's make the world we live in a better place.
You, the viewer outside there, don't you see it is just lively?
At Seeds of Gold every Saturday only on NTV.
On the next episode is brought to you by
Kiri Soda.
On the next episode,
Miss Maria Laura, and open the door.
Maria Laura, please let us in now.
Go away. Go away. I don't want to see you.
Okay, don't be sad about that guy anymore.
How could I be sad if it was my fault that they fired Alessandro? I didn't want to hurt him.
No, my bonbon, I know it, my love.
We both have played that game, haven't we?
Yes. And what we're actually playing with is our marriage. I repeat that I have no intention in denying my responsibility in what's happening to us,
To
Christian,
us?
but then...
No, your responsibility.
Christian,
Soda in 4 different flavors: lemon, mixed berry, orange, and Kiri Cola. Celebrate life with Kiri Soda.
Hello there, good morning. Welcome back to Morning at NTV. My name is Mala Kivila Odera. Time now for us to talk business. Yes, and of course, like we agreed, Monday, Tuesday, we're going to be giving you information on what's happening in the business space. Of course, it affects your business directly or indirectly. And then Wednesday, Thursday, special day for me and you, just to consult on each other. You bringing me, giving me your business challenges and me giving you solutions. Yes. And then on Friday, it's going to be easy. You tell me what you want. The hashtag is Morning at NTV. So today, we're going to look at safety in the skies. Of course, an Ethiopian Airlines passenger jet bound for Nairobi crashed minutes after takeoff yesterday. Now that was Sunday, the 10th of March 2019, killing all 157 people on board. The airline CEO, of course, came out to say and confirmed that the victims were of 35 nationalities. The Sunday flight left Bole Airport in Addis Ababa at around 8:38 a.m. before losing contact with the control tower just a few minutes later at about 8:44 a.m. This tragedy now has left many rising questions about the safety of the Boeing 737 MAX 8, a new model that also crashed in Indonesia about October last year, killing 189 on board the Lion Air flight. Now, Ethiopian Airlines also, the management has moved to say that the cause of the crash is still under investigation, but they were keen to point out that the 4-month-old aircraft had no record of technical problems and that the pilot had an excellent flying record. So safety in the skies is the puzzle that we'd like to unravel this morning on Business Updates, a conversation that is key for us all, beg your pardon, to have. So here on the studios, I'm joined by retired Captain Stephen Wegoya to unravel what it takes for a plane to take off and set down safely. Thank you so much for making time.
Thank you, Kebira.
Good morning. How are you?
Fine, thanks.
You have been in the skies, pretty much in the aviation space, for over 46 years.
That's right, since 72.
Imagine that.
Good.
So let's talk about safety in the skies. What does it take for that plane to just set off and land safely?
Good morning, viewers. First and foremost, I would like to thank NTV for hosting me on this show. And it's a pleasure to give my experience on what happens in the skies. Safety in the skies begins with an individual from home. If your mindset on safety, you'll do a safe thing throughout the day. It doesn't only apply to the air skies, but to every individual who is alive in this world.
Right.
So, before I go ahead, I would like to send my sincere condolences to the families of those who lost their life and their dear ones in this plane crash. An accident is an accident. It's under investigation. We cannot comment on what happened and where it happened. That will come out with the investigating team. As far as I'm concerned, being a pilot, I know everything is set so that people are set to fly. The airplane is new, very new. It actually came into flight after I've retired.
Right.
But I know much of the principles are the same. But it has systems which may be different from what I know.
Right.
But otherwise, safety is part of our system.
Captain, when we talk about safety, for example, just let's get a random scenario. You have booked a ticket. Good. You already know the time, the day, and what you need to do as a passenger.
Yeah.
But on this other end, by the time an airline is saying that plane X will take off at this time and this is the scheduled flight, what happens in that safety space?
Okay. The schedules are planned. Some are like aviation charters, but if it's a planned schedule, everything is done. All the systems in the airline departments, from the ground operator, operations department, cabin crew, management. They know what to do before the flight takes off. And I will come here and say the training is very mandatory in flying. And I've been privileged to have been trained by Ethiopians at Ethiopian Airline School, and they take safety as paramount.
Wow.
I don't think it should have happened to Ethiopian Airways. I really feel sorry for them, but I know they are a safe airline in this world. And everybody in Africa or in the world should emulate the Ethiopian Airways. The airline has systematic programs it carries out before it takes off for a flight. And I think they must have done it all. I've flown in and out of Addis severally. The terrain is high. The airport is high, 7,200 feet above mean sea level. And these airplanes are well powered. So I believe whatever happened, it was an accident. If there was anything which is apart from that, since the airplane is new, the pilots are well trained. I understand the captain had over 8,000 hours. The first officer, I'm not sure.
Right.
But the captain, with 8,000 hours, flying with Ethiopian Airways, I believe he knew what he was doing.
Okay, what happens with regards to just checking the aircraft? At times when you go, for example, maybe if you have a flight at around 10 a.m., you go there and, you know, the teller actually announces that unfortunately the flight will delay because of, you know, they always call them slight technical hitches. How do they get to identify these hitches? Is it that the craft has to be, you know, examined before it takes to the skies every single time it touches down?
There are a series of things which are done.
Okay.
The engineers will release an airplane after they have checked it. And you as a pilot, you have to go and do what they call a systematic check and a walk around. And read the take logs, that's the technical logbook of the aircraft, which are entered by the engineers, so that if you accept the airplane, you sign for it. If you don't accept the airplane, you don't sign for it, and they will not release it to you.
So you have authority as a pilot?
Say again?
You have the authority as a pilot?
You have, that's one of the authorities pilots have, to refuse an aeroplane, to refuse a passenger, to refuse anything, which is for safety. But you must have a reason before you refuse anything. But this one, all the parties must have agreed for this airplane to take off. Although I hear in the news, the media is full of everything, that it had a technical problem, that's why it was delayed 2 hours. Knowing Ethiopian Airways, they have a lot of equipment. If the airplane is not certified to fly, they will give another equipment. Or they would delay you to get another equipment to take the position of that malfunctioning aircraft.
Right.
We call it US aircraft. Not United States, but unserviceable, US.
Right.
So they must have done a good job before they released it. And with this automation, let me comment on automation. There is a lot of automation going on in airlines. And I believe there's what they call a maneuvering characteristic augmentation system, which is in these aeroplanes, these modern aeroplanes. If you remember in the 1980s, the Airbus 300, when it came out with a lot of automation, it refused to accept what the pilots put in. So it went walloping the trees somewhere in Toulouse. Now, there are systems here which may resist overriding by a pilot, a human pilot. But I believe, let me not believe that that's what it was.
Right.
But this one can see your angle of attack. If you are too steep climbing, it will correct it by pushing you down. Let me not hope that that's what happened. Because if it starts pushing you down, it means it is recovering speed for you. And depends on how far you are between you and the ground, the catastrophe will occur.
Wow, so what you're saying is that the aircrafts that are operating in the skies in this century are actually pretty much automated. It's computer.
Most airplanes are automated.
Right.
But you can have manual override. The pilot is the last resort in the airplane.
Okay.
Don't think automation is automation. It's how you know about it and how you go about it, which matters.
how you go about it.
Yes, because if you go about the correct way, you can override that automation and you'll be safe.
You pointed out something very important, that the first thing is that the engineers have to check the craft every time before it, pretty much takes off.
That's right.
Then the pilot has the authority to refuse the aircraft, to refuse a passenger, to refuse anything within that space.
Safety.
If it bounds on safety. Let's look at the other thing. Now that you've talked about automation of the aircrafts and them being computerized, highly computerized, let's touch on training of these pilots. And we were having a conversation and you're saying that it's important for a pilot to stick to one craft. The changing of crafts, is not advisable. Yes. Just touch on that as well.
Okay, now the aeroplane, the way we are operating aeroplanes, it's not like cars where you can jump from one car to another car to another car and you take off. No, here before you go anywhere, you must be trained, certified, and pass the exams, both ground and flying exams on that type of aeroplane. And I believe and I know Ethiopian does this, and many credible airlines do it. Because some people may dodge it because of financial constraint, because aviation is a very expensive affair, Kayla.
Right.
But if you think education expenses are expensive, try an accident. An accident is very, very expensive.
Right.
So people should consider the training of their crew, of their personnel, be it ground, air, engineering, whatever department it is, so for the safety. Training is paramount, and training is very good for the system.
This pilot who is in question in this particular aircraft was given a clean bill of history, like he was one of the best. Now, when you talk about it not being advisable for pilots to move from one craft to the other, how long should a pilot ideally take with one craft, pretty much in experience?
Oh, it depends on succession, because if you have many equipment and you want to move from equipment to equipment, there is a hierarchy in the airline where you'll be asked to do that and then you move.
Right.
According to your, what do you call it, line of promotion. If you're in line of promotion, because every pilot wants to fly a new machine, a bigger machine. So if you are due for it, you move to the next group. But you don't do both at a time.
Okay.
You have to give up one to do the other one.
All right. Yeah. As we come to a close, Captain, what are the other pointers of safety that individuals can also take into perspective whenever traveling in the skies?
Okay. When you are in the skies, about safety, you must go periodic safety trainings. You must have a way how to do things with a systematic way of approach. There is no haphazardness. You must have wits to think very fast in this job and think about what you are doing before you do it.
Okay.
That's safety. Always ask yourself, am I safe? Am I safe? Also, on top of that, I believe safety recurrent checks and the trainings should be carried out in all aircrafts.
All right.
All the time in all airlines.
All the time in all the airlines.
If you don't mind, I can comment on Uganda Airlines.
Yes.
It's an airline which I'm waiting for to take its flight into the skies. Thank you, Mr. President, for giving us that. But one comment is, people should leave business to business. Politicians should not enter this airline. And since you have started the airline, I believe financial resources should be there.
Right.
And there are many retired people like us who are in position to assist within the airline if given chance.
Okay.
Let's not mix politics and aviation, because aviation is purely business. Look at Ethiopian Airways. It's a role model. It's about 70 years since it started. The governments have changed, it has not changed. If there are coups in their country, they position themselves somewhere to work.
Right.
So we should follow the Ethiopian Airways.
So the management of an airline pretty much has to be independent.
Yeah, it has to be independent.
Without any interference.
No.
So Kenya needs to borrow as well.
No, Kenya at one time did it, but I don't know what happened.
Right now.
I don't know. But I thought for myself,
right.
Uganda Airline is a good thing for the country.
Okay.
We have been suffering with other airlines.
All right. Thank you so much, retired Captain Stephen Wegoye, for coming in studios. Of course, we've learned quite a bit. Thank you so much. Take charge of your safety, especially in the airspace. You can do it as a passenger, and also if you're an operator, let's do something. Thank you so much for being part of this conversation. Business updates. Don't go too far. We're taking a bumper. We'll be back with the crew.
You don't have to look any further. Get online and you'll get any property.
It's all about joinery. How best do you give the tree a very good second life?